Hello, this is today's mascot. I'm back after a few extended days of looking through the book and realizing that I have some uh, notation that I've got to work on. Uh, Sorry for all the ums and uhs. This is gonna be full of them. Like right there. So essentially, this is where the book introduces some stuff that's going to be very how to put this? Inconvenient to try and graph, but we're going to get through it today. Another episode of this. I'm coming around on the idea of just filming whenever I do these. I don't know. I might skip a couple. Like 112 is just gonna be nightmarish. I don't know if you want to listen to me, him, and haw and ah while I do that, but we're gonna pick up where we left off last time. A part of what's going to be a bit difficult coming up into some of the next segments is that we're going to be dealing with stuff like the equivalency symbol, which is a special symbol. I'm not sure how that would work out. I'm probably going to have to type stuff in Notepad, and I'm definitely going to need something to keep my place in the book wherever I'm at. But I'm probably going to need some stuff. I had that on 130 because I literally just made this little guy. So if you, I don't know how well known this is. I didn't know this until recently. But if you hold Windows key and then press period, like if you hold Shift, it's the I want to say greater than symbol. I have a hard time remembering which one's which, even in my age. But I was gonna say in my old age, but I'm not really old, early 30s. But the one between the comma and the forward slash. Yeah, you get access to this little menu. I like this little guy. That's how I felt 2 days ago, just looking at some of the stuff we're going to be going over today. Graphing today. And I think you'll understand why I felt like that, or perhaps, I think more accurately. I mean, I felt like that at one point, but the whole vibe was more, I saw a good one like this. The whole vibe was more, what happened? Well, you caught that. The whole vibe was more like that, though. So over here, this is going to be an image that's going to be, or rather, this is an image that will be present in the full album of these whenever the heck I get done, which who knows when that'll be. Maybe uh, maybe I could put them up per number, but so this is explaining the notation that's coming up because we're dealing with something a little different. If you'll see this, right, that I call it a dangling implication, where as shown here, I was able to work it out with a little bit of help from some Silicon homies, aka Grok and ChatGPT, helped me kind of understand it. Of course, I checked this and made sure it made sense because they make mistakes. I've actually had to correct ChatGPT on at least one occasion regarding dot notation. archaic, such as it is. But so what that dangling implication there seems to mean is that you place this as the what's called antecedent, right? So it'd be like the first half of the expression, whatever you want to call it. Again, this is kind of hard for me to like. I get it in my head in KS, I just don't really get it in like English. But as you can see here, this is just the illustration of that. Is that it goes from Q and R to Q and not Q, and thus you replace. You get the idea. Like you replace Q with Q and R with not Q, and it becomes the next thing. And I'm going to try and represent that using as like this or something to that effect. I'm not really sure 100% on how I'm going to do that yet. But yeah, we're going to be getting into that. But this will be an image that will be included in as like a special notation alert of sorts. Um, there's another part to that. I've got to set some stuff up that I actually forgot to set up, so give me one moment and I'll splice in whenever I get back with that. Okay, we should hopefully be recording again. I just used insert to get this inserted. This is the second half of that. So I'll leave this up. This is the whole thing. I'll leave that up on screen for a second while I talk about it. So what essentially happened was that I got immediately past 215, and this is why I actually wanted to stop on 215 last time. Not just because it was a nightmare and I'd been going long enough already, but because 216 starts with the assertion of P implies Q implies not Q implies not P. Which is kind of simple. That makes sense, right? Like, a thing implying a thing implies that it not being a thing implies that it's not the thing that it implies, right? You can follow that, right? I mean, I get that sometimes this all kind of runs together, but, you know, um, if it raining implies that the grass is wet, then it not raining implies that the grass is not wet, right? And how implications work, you don't like necessarily just because the grass is not wet does not mean that it is not raining. Like, and the grass being wet does not have to be the result of rain. It's just that one implies the other in a way that allows for the antecedent to not need to be true for the consequent to be also true. So, it's something that you can kind of understand because remember that let's go up here and put this in not tiny script, but tiny enough. That implication is can I okay, that actually worked this time. I don't oh right, I forgot that so I hold Alt and the numpad plus key and then hit 2228 to make that happen. Um, to do that, or like how I can go 2283 and that does the imply symbol. The moment that you try to use, because the assertion symbol requires 22A2, and the moment you hit A, for whatever reason, I don't know why that's a thing in Paint 3D's text uh, input thing, but the moment you put that in, it borks it. It just stops typing. But anyway, um, yeah, it's not pew, not pew or key. But yeah, it's not P or Q. That's what imply is. So I mean, to make it really, really clear, not P or Q is identical to um, P. That's the wrong one. Implies Q. That's the same thing. Those two things are the same thing. I know it can be a little odd, but you know. So right, so this would be like trying to rack my brain here. I guess that would be like Q or not P, right? It's a little early for me, folks. But yeah, I'm guessing that like if you wanted to write this like this, it would be like Q or not P, right? So it'd be the opposite or something. I don't know. Yeah, you get the idea. I'm not sure that that really makes a difference. No, it'd be not Q. Yeah, I'm not really sure how I'd put that. Anyway, the point is this makes sense. If you ignore my floundering and trying to turn that into a disjunction, the point remains that it makes sense. 216 that something that implies something else implies it's you know I'm not sure what the technical term is, but basically it implies the thing that it isn't, like the other implication, the the negated implication, the inverse implication, converse, whatever, starburst. But here we get to again what the point of the last one was. The first half of the series that I made the other day. Um, so I'll remind you that this is the Gaz numeral one, Gaz numeral 2, and then the Gaz numeral for 3. So, this is basically how the whole. I mean, not basically, this is literally what the entire thing looks like on the page. And normally, I think I even say it here, but nah, that's still the helpful text from the AI that I got. Yes, here we go. While I usually leave out and will continue to typically leave out of the graphs the final QED or restatement of the original assertion, here it's worthy of note due to it being the first case of SIL being used in this manner in the book. As stated in the helpful instructive text from GBT and Grok below, the full theorem plus demonstration structure, the initial assertion 1 and 2 implies. It's not a literal assertion implying another assertion, but regular notation being contextually used as meta notation. Meaning that, like other examples prior in the book, the first graphs of the Star 2 series I've made also contain this, which use in brackets 1 and I messed that up there, I think, but 1 and star 101 to restate the original theorem as again a form of conclusion. It's a means by which to say this has been demonstrated via blank, thus blank in meta notation. The notation that I'll be using will hopefully be intuitive to read when I graph star 216. The majority of the decisions relating to graphing notation I make in the series will be intuitive and from kinesthetic synesthesia inference, making it not just difficult but possibly disadvantageous to remark too specifically on the nature of any given notational decision. Here, though, when we have a dangling implication, as I like to think of them, like the one between the first and second lines of the demonstration, the move from star 12 to star 205, I will make it visible that it is indeed a situation in which we are looking at a chain of substitutions within a single item of a demonstration rather than moving directly from one complete stage of a demonstration into another. As stated, it is my earnest hope that the system that I use to depict this is self-evident enough that it causes no undue confusion, and that these two meta-notational graphs explaining what is going on here serves to reduce any confusion in such instances going forward. I will also have other meta-notational graphs when such drastic changes in the structure of demonstrations, theorems, etc. arise. So yeah, that's the entire text there. Honestly, after I read the first line, I just wanted to read it as fast as I thought that I could without making errors and see how long it took for me to hit a rough spot. Sorry, that was more for my amusement than your instruction or education. I cannot call this education, but your entertainment wasn't really the thing there. It was my entertainment. So sorry if that was a little bit hard to listen to. But I really get into it when I start reading stuff out loud. I can't help it. But yeah, that was for my entertainment more than your amusement. I can't call any of this crap education. That's a little too high-minded, yeah, for what I'm doing here. I like to keep it humble and think I'm just graphing stuff, you know. I mean, honestly, also, I'm doing this as I'm reading the book, so it's more for my education than anyone else's as well. So, I mean, I hope that you find some entertainment out of this. But, yeah, it's, you know. Anyway, that's all covered. Because I am going to have to make some kind of a big notational decision. And the reason why it's such a big deal is that whatever I use here, I need to, make sure I keep with in the rest of the book. Uh, Whenever I mean the book, I'm not saying that I'm making a book out of this. I'm saying in the rest of what I'm going to be graphing, I need to keep it, clean and consistent. So, with all of that out of the way, how impressive was that? But with all of that out of the way, let me scoot up my chair. And we can get started for today. I'm not sure how many I'm going to get. I want to get at least through 221. Okay, so we'll do 216. Like I just showed. Now, guess I should just get started, huh? Let me do like I was doing last time. So that's uh, P Q. Yeah, I'll just do that. P implies Q implies not Q implies not P. Okay. So this will work. Drag this over here. Oh, okay, well. You know, it still works. I just gotta finagle it a little bit, but yeah, that still works actually. Uh, Not Q implies not P. Yeah, alright, cool. Yeah, excellent. Well done. That worked out just fine. Okay. Well, let me, was I doing it on 24? I guess I was. Back to it. Alright. Yeah, it's been a couple of days. Like I said, I think I mentioned it in the last video, but man, I've had like months and months of just doing stuff every day, and then I had a whole month of having to recover uh, from a medical thing that I had to get done, and it is just, ugh. Okay, so here's where things get not so simple. Alright, so I'm gonna need um, I'm actually going to need this. Here's where those notation decisions that I need to make start coming in. Fun fact, you can just flip stuff. And then you can just flip the other stuff in the thing that you flipped. Wild, right? But the thing here is, so let's let's go look at 205 again, right? Um, I had it up earlier. I should probably keep it here, but if we look at 205, the antecedent is Q implies R, implies P implies Q implies P implies R. Now we're replacing Q with uh, well, let me go ahead and get this up there first, okay? Um, Q and not Q. Does it put quotes around? No, it doesn't. I feel a little gross not putting not quotes, but not putting an extra parentheses around that. But it'll be all right, I guess. Let's just go ahead and extend that. Actually, let me just extend this first. So we can just accommodate this. Ew, that looks so gross. Ugh. Let's fix that. There we go. My nerves have been eased. It's like warm rain on a summer's day in sunshine. Just refreshing and beautiful. To my brain disease, that I'm serious as you know I haven't officially gotten it diagnosed, but I'm pretty darn sure I have OCD. I just haven't gotten it diagnosed because I mean, like, who cares? Yeah, even if they have medication, I'm fine. It's not like they have medication for OCD, and even if they did, it wouldn't be worth the side effects. That's me getting a gulp of tea. That's you know, obviously I'm not sponsored by them, but there's this tea company, Bigelow. Um, Now I get other teas in the store, you know, but this is the kind that has the uh, it's called like I think it's like perfectly mint. It's spearmint and black tea, and I mix two of those. So per 500 milliliters, right, of water, I did shift enter there. or 2 cups imperial. I put 2 bags of that plus 1 chamomile. Excellent stuff. That's the tea that I'm drinking right now. I highly recommend it. It's a good nootropic. I use that as wake up stuff, though. That spearmint black tea combo will wake you up like coffee never could. I'm telling you. And chamomile, you might think, oh, chamomile makes you sleepy. No, 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 no. If you mix this right, what the chamomile is doing, it's an anti-jitters thing. It's like an anti-jittery thing. So you know, yeah. So that's what the chamomile's doing in there. It's an anti-jitters mood balancer too. Uh, Not that I need that, but that I definitely need the anti-jitters because man, this stuff will it's kind of strong. So you don't really want to be like wigging out there. So anyway, if we look at um where is it? I lost my place. If we look at star 205, the antecedent for star 205 is Q implies R. So I can actually type that out here. So uh, Q, hold on. I'll just type it out here. So that, and it's 3 dots. Q implies R implies that's a screw up. Implies P implies Q implies P implies R. So let's just copy paste that. So the assertion symbol, I can't type that in the text thing. And by the way, if you're paying attention, yes, these are all the codes that I'll need to be able to type this stuff out. But yeah, that little guy right here, you need to type 22A2, and that just doesn't work in the text parser. Like, hold on, watch. I'm gonna try it 22A. You see, as soon as you hit A while holding those combination of buttons, it just messes up. So this is, wow, that's a drastic change from font. But this is what star 205 is. Okay? And yeah, I think it's another thing like the syllogism, maybe. It's Q implies R implies P implies Q implies P implies R. And if you understand what's going on in this, by the way, maybe I don't need to say it, but the idea is that one thing. So hold on. So say that how to put this. So if it was raining implies grass was made wet, right? And uh, how to put it? There were rain clouds over the area implies it was raining. Then there were rain clouds over the area implies grass was made wet. Does that make sense? So, like, I'm not really good at this. I'm sure people who are, like, well versed in logic uh, of this formal kind are way better at this than I am. But the idea is, like, P, Q, R, I think. Yeah. So, if, like, Q implies R and P implies Q, then P implies R. It's one thing leading to another. Like, so to explain to you what it's like in my head with kinesthetic synesthesia, I feel this in my head as like a series of connectives. Like, almost like feeling along a rope, almost, or like a handrail. Like, I feel that. That, like, oh, if Q implies R and P comes before Q, then like a single 2x4, I can feel like notches on a like notches on a like I was gonna say baseball bat, but I think I've been playing too many violent video games lately. But the point is that the idea is that it's like notches on a plank of wood. Like you feel one, and then you feel the other, and then you feel it's like, oh, this is the same continuous thing, right? So for me, it makes sense that P implies R if P implies Q and Q implies R, because it's really, in effect, a chain of consequence that you could follow from P to R, because Q, if it is implied by P and it implies Q, is just it's like if this, then that, then the other kind of thing. Like, if Q then R and if P then Q, then in effect, if P then R, if Q results in, you get the idea, hopefully. But the thing here is, none of that is relevant, as amusing as that may or may not be. Sorry if you feel that that's not amusing. I think it's amusing. What's relevant here is that what we're doing is that we're taking this, right, and we're replacing Q and R with Q and not Q. And that'll go for not just the antecedent, but the consequent, which is what you'd call this. This is the consequent. This is the antecedent. This is the thing in the middle, right? So the problem is how to represent that visually, graphically, cleanly, intuitively, uh, to you, the audience. Now, I've had a couple of ideas, and as I showed off in the thingy, like all of them are born from my like kinesthetic synesthesia sense, if you want to call it that. My stupid scroll wheel, I'm telling you. So, I need like a symbol for is put into. That's basically it. That's what I need here is like the implication sign I hate it because it's not inaccurate. It's just that because I mean, think about it. What's going on in the next? You're not really gonna understand it until I do this. So let me go ahead and get the next part set up here. Yeah, this is. Uh, it's kind of a mind melter because again, I'm trying to figure out how to translate this faithfully into the book and using notation that I know is not used in the book. And seeing as I haven't read the vast majority of the book, even though I have gotten all the way through the introduction, it's kind of hard for me to come up with an idea of notation that isn't used in the book but would be recognizable. The thing that's kind of how to put this. The thing that's kind of awful here is that there's not like a clean way to do this that immediately presents itself. It's like every time I think of one way, I go, ah, yeah, that would be. Never mind. Hold on. Now, this might not seem like a big deal to some people who watch this. The problem is that it is a catastrophically large deal, and I can't translate why into English. Like in my head, I can feel why. Um, like to me, it feels. I mean, it's an indescribable thing. It's like trying to explain to a person who's been blind from birth the color yellow, or like trying to explain what uh, Claire de Lune sounds like to a person who's been deaf from birth. It doesn't it's a different register. Um, if I were to attempt to describe it, and I really can't, but if I were to even remotely attempt to describe it, have you ever seen one of those depictions of what it would be like to have? Oh, well, if you've ever played a video game and you've seen an FOV slider slid all the way up to like 120, or if you've ever seen like a depiction of what it looks like to see through the eyes of a rabbit or a deer, like the big 360-degree field of vision, uh, it's kind of like that, except omnidirectional and with kinesthetic sensations rather than visual, like optical data. It's like there's a bunch of not quite there dead ends. Which makes something that seems simple, it's like, well, why don't you just slap something on there? And it's like, no, 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 no. Like, if it's something that I can trace it out to how many instances of this, whatever I choose, that I'm going to have to use, and how much easier it would be if it's like, I don't know how to put it. It's like if you're trying to stack quarters and the one at the bottom is, a couple of millimeters, not even a couple of millimeters, like a couple of fractions of a millimeter off, like a fraction of a fraction of a millimeter off. And then by the time you stack 100 quarters, it's gonna fall over. It's that. Like that's basically what I'm dealing with here, is trying to make sure my stack of quarters is perfect, or my stack of pennies is perfectly aligned from the bottom. That's probably the best metaphor I can come up with. It's like I'm testing different sizes of coin and different textures of coin, you know, like uh, to see which one will stack better, longer, without toppling over or being, uh, it's like I'm trying to build a Jenga tower with different specifications of Jenga block. As a kid, uh, I really liked Duplo blocks. I don't know. I just figured I'd say that. I was a fan of the Duplo blocks, the big ones. I liked Legos, but I don't know. I like the big chunky blocks. I'm a Duplo advocate. I'm just trying to think of how to freaking represent the substitution properly, and it's eating me alive. Uh, like I said, I've got like 15 different ideas, and I'm just kind of mulling them over. Yeah. Ah, crap. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Uh, false alarm. But it's not like I have anything. I'm like right back. I didn't really take that long. It's not like this is going to be helped at all by that. Crap. Man, things get really spicy all by yeah, I didn't think things would get that spicy by 139. Goodness. Just looking ahead a little bit. The reason why I'm looking ahead is because I kind of want to know how often this even comes up. Oh, it comes up enough. Ooh. Ugh. Ah. Okay. Okay. I'm reading ahead a little bit. I'm just having to get over the fact that, yeah, this is going to necessitate some. So one of the difficulties that I'm having is that one of the issues with, like, one of the, I said an issue. I called it an issue, but one of the one of the conceits of the book, like one of the well, I put it in one of the two meta-notational images, but one of the things that needs to be understood about the book, that needs to be understood about what's going on here, is that this is Principia Mathematica, Volume 1. The numbered pages are 666. Bad number, I know, but the the total amount of pages of the work, like, is well in excess of 2,000, if I'm not mistaken. And by well in excess, I mean more than like one or two. It's like, I think it's like at least 2,100. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's like right at 2,000, but still, that's a lot of pages. And, I mentioned the whole stacking quarters thing. So to uh, decompress that, to expand on that a little bit, it's the same problem that these gentlemen had in making the book in the first place that I'm going to have in graphing the whole freaking thing. Is that there had to be some, what I like to call, audience participation. Now, the problem with that on this end is that I'm making images. These are pages in a book. Now, that may seem shockingly and stupendously even, like, self evident, such that it's like, why did you even feel the need to say that? Well, the reason why is it gets a lot easier to flip back and forth in a book than it is back and forth between images if, you've got to go hunting for image number, you know, star 231 whenever you're on star 2257 or some stupid crap. I mean, I'm not. I mean, to use an actual example, I just flipped to page 222 in the book, and star 22621 actually references star 471 to give you an idea, right? So we're talking about in some cases having to flip very, very, very far back or very, very, very far forward. Like, I'm on star 3762 at random again on page 306. 3762 has in it a reference to 1024, which is on page 149. So that's page from 149 to 306. Now, the number of images between those two spots is going to be, I'm trying not to cuss here, but it's going to be enormous. It's going to be profound. Like, that's a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot of images. I mean, sure, you can control F, star, whatever, but I mean, I'm not really sure how I'll label these. I'm not sure how to index these, because these guys had that problem of like, okay, well, the book is going to be a a a gabillion pages long, and by the way, to get into the technical side of how much this must have cost and the uh, the difficulties in printing and all, I mean, it's a fascinating thing to think about, but the real problem is indexing. And if you're trying to keep things, yeah, like page 606 has a reference to star 34, 25, and 26. So that's 34, 25, and 26. That's that's on page 271, and so that's a deep pull, right? They're on 606, page 606, star 9232. pulling from star 34, 25, and 26 on page 271. Like, that's kind of the stuff that I'm talking about. Is I'm not really sure how to. I'm probably going to have to get out a pen and like draw a mock-up version of this just to see what it'll look like. Um, yeah, this will work. Okay. So, yeah, alright. Hold on, I'm going to cut real quick. One sec. Okay, so I brought back the monster um, that we left off on last time. Brought back the big one. Just as a reference for what I'm going to be doing here. So, the thing is that I could. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Here's the real problem. Is that functionally speaking, what's going on here is it's one of these. And by the way, we're going to be talking about that in a minute too, because I'm going to have to change those up. So, for instance, whoa, I don't want that rolling off my freaking desk. So, one thing to note is that from this point forward, so that 205 will be written as like that. For brevity's sake, for my own sanity's sake, and varying differences of this typographically, like maybe even this, right? Like, so compare and contrast this with this because it's just going to be easier for me to type. Um, and I hope easier to read, honestly, like easier to understand. But the real thing that's going on here is that effectively speaking, what's being done here is a substitution. So this, for instance, would be where is it? I'm gonna need all three of these. So for instance, this would be I think that's star 212. And I'm gonna start boxing them and you'll understand why in a minute. This would be star 212, right? But the problem is that what's being done here is essentially it's not essentially nothing. It's literally a substitution, which is why my brain is frying. I need kind of a way to relate a substitution. I might have to go check around for some symbols to look for like Maybe even see if there's like a special Ge'ez character that I could use as a substitution. I'm gonna go do that real quick. Be right back. Okay, so I think I found the answer. Check this out. I think that'll work. Now, let me see if this little guy is different. Because they look different in numpad. So if they're different, I want to just go ahead and use the one that I can actually type. Yeah, alright. Well, that'll work. So this little guy is in Coptic script. Um, it's going to be my substitution symbol. I think I might use the larger one. Just because it's, larger. It's easier to see. But yeah, this is going to be the substitution symbol. Because I really, 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 really don't know what else I'm gonna do here without like a symbol that means that. Because what in effect is going on, as I stated, is that we're going to be substituting this for the antecedent of uh, star 205. Now, the reason I'm going to start boxing these, uh, yeah, that's off. Crud. There we go. Is because I'm going to need to do this. To represent substituted 205. Like, that's going to be a thing, and I'm not willing to, yeah. How about I do this? Just raise the roof on that a little bit. It's okay, we can put its hair back on, it's fine. There. Nobody has to know that the Gaz character lost its wig. It's fine. We put its wig back on. So that's how we're going to do the substitutions. But that only solves half of the problem, folks. That only solves half of the problem, and I'm going to explain why. We can we can cut most of this off. What I really needed was a refresher on how I handled the the notation there. Now, here's the thing. This is sort of why we have the top level Ge'ez character. This will be the first time that we have a reason to use a character other than uh, our top level that we've been using. Well, I guess I don't need to do all of that. So that's just a dual, right? So P implies Q implies P implies not Q. So we can literally just take this. Now what we're going to need to do here, see, the thing is that I want to try and cut down on quote unquote audience participation as much as possible. I want to make it very easy to understand what's going on and to, like, if anyone in the future is coming back and trying to read my graphs the way that I am trying to go back and read Principia Mathematica, I want it to be way. I mean, the whole point of this exercise is to make it like it'd be just stupid, right? If I went back and graphed Principia Mathematica and it was as difficult to understand as Principia Mathematica, that would do nobody any good, right? Talk about a big wet fart of a project. Like, what the heck, man? So, I want and feel I need even to cut down on that as much as possible. Now, there's only a couple of ways in which I can do that realistically via a visual medium without making everything just a slow rolling buildup of it's like a katamari. Like if I try to make it to where in every image with a callback, I put the thing it's calling back to, I will eventually reach a point where it's callbacks of callbacks of callbacks that end up looking like I can't put the whole graph there. Do you get what I mean? Because it would just end up being like I would have spots where it's like a 10,000 by 10,000 pixel image, and I don't even know how much that would take up in terms of space on my computer. But also, I don't think that really helps. That's not really, that's not. It's running into the same problem of sorts that they did, Russell and Whitehead, in making the freaking thing in the first place, where they had to do these things that required audience participation in the first place. Anyway, let me make sure I don't screw this up. So P implies Q implies P implies not Q. So look, um, we'll just pretend that there's no shortcuts taken in the making of this graph. Okay. Some of these I'm going to have to tinyfy out of necessity because I just, again, don't feel like taking 500 years to make this book. I keep calling it a book, but that's only because it's the shorthand for this album, whatever you want to call it, this collection of images I'm going to be making for this. So the thing here that is really nutty is that I'm going to have to, as I said, finally use the other set. Like, wow, that's kind of nutty. Yeah, and of course I need to. Duh, right? It's a little grim that we're this early and I'm already having to bust out the extra ges. But it's good. It's all good. I want to try to space it good enough, not just for like the purposes of if people, anyone in the future wants to give this to an AI, but also, including me. But also, I worry. I don't know if this is founded or not because it's not like these things are in English. I'm not sure how dyslexia works translingually, but I also worry about people with dyslexia not being able to read this stuff if it's too tiny. Anyway, so that's one. Yeah, this is gonna be something else. Where's that at? Here we go. Okay. So here's the thing. Again, that doesn't let you know what star 205 is. And the best I can do is like this that I can think of. And I may not even do that for all of them. I'm willing to do that for like some of them. I guess I'll include it as like extra text at the bottom. But yeah, and like 212, where's that at? This is just how I'm going to try to ease up audience participation to where you guys, anybody really, looking at this stuff now or on into the future can at least have a reference to what's being referenced without, and hopefully they can on their own infer what is being referenced here because this is where you start getting into substitutions and stuff that like like I said just necessitates this. Now I'm not going to do it in all instances, right? Like I didn't do it for every prior instance, but I'm going to do it in instances of this, like this substitution for substitution stuff, like dangling implications. And I'll make a note at the bottom of the image that that's why I did it, was for a dangling implication. Um, it stinks. I might still do that on into the future for ones that I think like require it. Ideally, you wouldn't be using these as a replacement for the book, but like to help you understand as you read the book what's going on in it. I mean, that's what I'm doing the graphing for myself, is to help me understand what's going on in the book as I understand it. Like, as I try to understand it. But, you know. Anyway, the next one's really simple, uh, comparatively. Just star 203, not Q over Q. It's just this again. Uh, I'll just copy that wholesale. Uh, with, right, and I need to put the thing here. But hopefully you understand what I mean whenever I say that, like, I hate the audience participation stuff because it can really be a drag I mean, maybe I can figure out a way to soften that in how I index things, like maybe upload these in different albums that you can then, like, look through different files, but that will mean that there's literally, I mean, that the very, very, very end of the book is on page evil number is 90 star 9758. So that's 97 separate albums that you'd be going through. Uh, I guess I'll figure it out. I'm not sure how I would manage that. I'm not sure if I can even do that in an uploaded like thingy. I guess these are questions for me in the far future, not for me right now. Yeah. Wow, okay. I feel like I've spent a ton of time on this already. Oh, and right, this will be where I first demonstrate the new uh that's the other reason that I'm going to start boxing these is so that I can use the new notation instead of having to do that long drawn out crud for each one of these. Like, yeah. Anyway, so not Q over Q. So that's P implies not Q. Implies not Q implies, well, crud. Hold on. Well, yeah, because it's literally the same thing. I'm dim. Not, not. Yeah, I'll be cheeky. Why not? Oh, that's why not. Hold on. Let me. Yeah, that'll work. I feel dim. I feel like I should just go ahead and type it out instead of being stupid. I mean, doing things the funny, tongue-in-cheek way, cheeky, haha way. It's nice, but like it's unnecessary. I need to just grow up. Just, it's me trying to amuse myself while doing this stuff, you know. Okay, and that's two. So that's it for this one. Now, obviously, I'm reticent to do this because I already explained it in the video, but not everyone who finds these images is going to be able to rely on the videos. So, you know. And in case some person decides to, I don't know, download all of these and print them out or something, which, I mean, whatever, if you want to do that, power to you, I guess. But if someone for some reason wanted to do that, like, I have to assume that they are not going to be, that, I have to assume in the worst case scenario that if this is what somehow survived of Principia Mathematica in general, somehow, in some goofy way, right? That it stands on its own, right? So let me make a little note here. I don't know what to call myself. Uh, the guy who made this. The notation here is changed up a bit, but remains, but has the same meaning regarding. I'm fat fingering the keyboard, sorry. Copy paste. What's the word I'm looking for here? Substitution and. Yeah, let me back up. Da, 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 do, 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 do. duh, 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 duh. Mm, there we go. I think that's a good note. I think that gets across what I'm trying to say well enough. Okay, the problem is this is off center and it cannot be off center. I need this to be on center. Now, before I finalize this, let me make sure. So P implies Q implies not Q implies not P. Okay. 212 marked on there. Q implies not Q implies substitution 205. Dimplication. I'll call the dangling implication a dimplication. Dimp. So implies dimp 205, which leads to dimp 205, the assertion that P implies Q implies P implies not Q, and that's 1. Okay, and then 2 is substitution not Q over Q for P implies not Q implies not Q implies not P. All right, excellent. That is 216, which is P implies Q implies not P, page 107. Excellent. All right, well then, I'm going to get this. Look at that. Wasn't that wonderful? Wow. Okay. So, let's get this all tidied up. I think that was a heck of a good. That was a real good. Oh man, what's the word? Conclusion? I guess a conclusion. I guess I could say that was a good conclusion. Just to make sure yes. Tar Stew 16. Star 216 rather. I've got stew on the brain. I tried these meatballs the other day and I want to make like meatball stew. I got them from Sam's. These like big 6 pound bag, like this big 6 pound bag of these meatballs, and they're so delicious. Ah man. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go save this real quick. Be right back. Okay, and we're back for now. I mean, I hate to like say this, but I almost feel like I should end on that for today. That's like a single one though. Uh, I'm still feeling kind of janky. Not feeling too great. Also, I've been working out like you wouldn't believe, and at least for me anyway. And I'm kind of all beat up from that. Mm, stretching a little bit in my chair. That's a little strange. Uh, I noticed it on page 109. They basically restate what was said on page 107. I'm not really sure why they felt the need to do that. Okay. That's a little odd. I'm sorry, I'm just having fun getting back to this and just reading the book and going, huh, yes, okay, yes. Excellent, interesting, indubitably. Anyway, let's get to 217 and stop mucking about. It's not doing anyone any good. This is basically the face that I've been making. Like, oh, wow, wow. Excellent. Yes, indubitably. Yes, I understand this. How cool. Alright. We're gonna move this down to keep it as a reference. And pluck this again. And I'm gonna come down here and nab this because I'm gonna want to just have this rather than have to deal with, I mean, literally any micro stage thing that I can get away with where I don't have to, you know, any micrometer of avoiding repetition is worth something here. And somehow my chair got moved backwards again. It's annoying. Alright, so not Q implies not P implies P implies Q. Simple enough. Honestly, just gonna scalp this, because now you may be wondering, why is it necessary to do this do the swap over here? Like, well, the reason why, I'm not sure if I explained this last time. I probably did. I have a bad habit of like repeating myself. But um, if you're reading the book, right, and this is something that took me a bit to understand, because whenever you're first reading it, once you get past the introduction, you're like, wow, okay, I'm ready to learn. I'm ready. This is so exciting. I can't wait to. And then you start reading it, and you're like, wait, hold the phone. Why is this just? It's because, like, imagine that you were trying to prove that every number in math came from a prior number, right? So you start off with 0 and 1. And like, I know for a fact I probably stated this, but just to recap, like, you start with 0 and 1. And you probably define them as like 0 equals nothing, 1 equals single unit of not nothing. And then you go like, okay, 0 plus 0 is identical to 0, 0 plus 1 equals 1, 0 plus 1 equals 2, 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, equals 1 plus 1 plus, not 1 plus 2 equals, or equals 1 plus 2 or whatever. You'd probably do that the other way around, actually. You go 1, 0 plus 1 plus 2 equals 3. And then you'd go like, you'd probably drop 0 by this point and go like 1 plus 3 is identical to what? Well, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is identical to 1 plus 1 plus 2 is identical to 1 plus uh, 3 is identical to 2 plus 2 is identical to 4, right? And then you'd go on and on and on and on and on like that. That's basically what Principia Mathematica is doing with logic. Yeah. That's why you can't skip, like, whenever you get to the point that you're skipping steps in the biggest air quotes possible, you're still not skipping steps. You're just referring to stuff that you've already, like, how you drop 0 by this stage. Like, you're just referring to stuff that you've established so well that you can trust the person to infer it from that point onward. Like, you don't, like, the thing that has been proved enough times, what it is, now stands on its own as a thing that can prove other stuff, right? So that's the gist. If you wanted a gist, like the very short version of what's going on in Principia Mathematica, like how you're supposed to read the book, basically. And so I don't look like a complete goober, I need to remove this so that I don't just leave it up there like a lemon and then wonder, hey, why do I have two 217s? So that's not Q implies not P implies P implies Q. So that's why you need both ends of it and you need to prove it in different, but I mean, also there's the fact that an implication isn't, like a mutual implication is an equivalence. There's a term for that. So that's also the other reason is that you're sharpening up each side of that. Just because something implies something doesn't mean the thing it implies it. Uh, anyway, to get back to it, implies P implies not Q. Do I have P implies not Q? Yes, I do. I'm going to just scalp this right here. Because I can literally just copy, paste this. Uh, Gonna want to get rid of this, and this, and this. Bonk. Slot this in right here. Okay, and here's the switcheroo. You ready? Nobody will notice, except those with my same particular and peculiar brain disease. And let's just call it an Easter egg. Yeah. Okay, so slide this on in here. All right. Not Q implies not P implies not P implies not Q. Okay, yeah, that works. So that's demonstration one. that okay. better be better be on point. Uh, I think I have the dot, right? Yeah, okay, I have the dot. Excellent. Demonstration, and then you could just hold Control and hit B, I, or U for these, for bold, underline, or italics. Hot tip. Okay, so this is going to be a running thing, I guess. I'll. Wow, it's uh basically the same thing. It's actually the same. That's okay. Okay, that's a little bit of a trip. I'm going to just copy this whole darn thing since that's what's going on here. You'll see what I mean in a minute. This actually is a little bit nutty. Hey, I wasn't kidding though about the like anytime you can save time. you you best believe, man. You best believe. Flip. Yeah. I know that looks like this isn't what it looks like. Okay, I think I need to rethink that strategy. Okay, I think what I actually should do is this, slide this over, slide this over, put the hat back on that dot. There we go. And then do the ultimate cheaty face move on graphs. Yeah, that's a little off. Alright. It looks odd, but I don't care. I'm saving time, guys. Okay, so, and then it is just transposed, right? P implies not Q implies P implies Q. Yeah, it's literally just transposed, which is totally fine by me. I'm not like complaining or anything. Okay, I'm willing to complain a little bit because it does mean I have to move this whole apparatus over. But the good thing is that since it's portioned, it should mean that this, it should have meant that that fit, but of course it didn't, because things can never just be simple, can they? Okay. Here's a cool trick. Delete. No, cut. There we go. Paste. Check this goofy crap out, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, there we go. That's advanced Paint 3D laziness right there. I feel like a like one of those guys, one of those fancy Benihanas, just slicing and dicing, grilling and chilling, like a super villain. Ah, yes. Okay, and that's example two. And look, man, I guess I'll just put the references at the bottom. Yeah, okay, and then it's just syllogism one and two, therefore prop. Yeah, alright. And hopefully it'll be inferable that whenever I put this stuff at the bottom, it's like, you know, extra. And that's number 217, page 108. Aw, yeah. Yeah, and I need to put the special note on here somewhere. Okay, well, that's another excellent graph done. If I do say so myself. Pretty productive today. Especially considering how, like, racked I've been over how exactly to represent the dimp substitution. That's been weighing heavily on my mind for like days, and I'm glad in this, I finally came to a good conclusion on that. This is a little off center, but I'm not caring about that. Whatever, man. Like, alright, well, I'm gonna go save this real quick. But first, let me check it again. Not Q implies not P implies P implies Q. Right? Ah, crap, I forgot to add the, to one. Crap. Okay, well, hold on. I can add that. Okay, I'm glad I caught that. This is why I do this. I literally just have to move this over a bit. Ah, my ear. Ah, ah. Not my ear, no. Ah. Okay. Star 203, not Q, over P, P over Q. And there will be varying forms of this depending on space concerns or whatever. It'll be purely typographical. Like there will be no difference in that. As far as how they're grouped here, there's going to be a thing that needs to be talked about soon enough. Whenever it rears its ugly, stupid head. But we'll get to that when we have to get to that. The main thing is that I need to fit this in there. And this is going to be a part of that. Make sure it's on point. Yeah, it is. Okay. Um, yeah, maybe get rid of that a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna have to pull that back that far. About that far. I think I got all of it. Yeah? Okay, good. I think the actual answer here is to, yeah, hold on. The actual answer here is actually to extend that so that I can lock it in. Ditto on this, because I can just cut it off on the end. Right. Hey, that worked out perfect. Excellent. Okay, now I can, yeah, so not Q implies P implies not Q, not Q implies Q. Substitute, yeah, dimp into 205, which results in P implies not Q implies P implies Q. Yep. Excellent. Okay, now the false alarm is over. We have been freed from our burden. We can now actually get to saving this image. How excellent. I'm really happy I got an excuse to use a Coptic script character, by the way. Yeah, hold on. 1 second. Like I said, I'm really happy that I got to use a Coptic script character. I kind of wanted to find a reason to use one, if I'm gonna be real. Okay, so not P implies P implies P. It's literally the same thing again. That's a little goofy. Okay. I ain't I ain't gonna lie, that's a little strange that they're using that schema over and over again, but hey, I ain't complaining. Um, Odd, perhaps, but again, I'm not like belly aching about it. Alright. I think I'll get 218 done, and that'll wrap up this one. I feel like I just want to do a shorter one. It's like I said, I still feel kind of like crap. And I don't know. It took a lot out of me dealing with how to organize that notation. Oof. There's some nightmare ones on the next page too. Anyway. Well, the good news is that that looks to be about the end of that. But the next goofy notation issue is cropping up on the page after, because there's this thing that gets done that's like really how to put this. Oh heck, it doesn't even wait till the next page. It's right after 218, so this is a good spot to stop. That's the thing, is that this isn't just one goofy notation thing I'm dealing with here. It's goofy notation plus. It's like we're at the point where I'm having to deal with, and I feel I already dealt with the next oncoming goofy notation thing, but then there's another goofy notation thing, and then another goofy notation thing, and then they combine the goofy notation things, which is, yeah. I feel like once I get through the next 10 pages, it almost feels like the 2 star is like another introduction of sorts, like getting you used to some really gnarly notation hurdles. But the problem is that I'm not just getting over them for myself, obviously, I'm getting over them also for this graphing thing and trying to translate it into that, and it's just a headache. Oh, I get why they laid out on 109 the thing that they laid out, okay. Oh my goodness. Let me check this real quick. Associative R over Q. Good grief. Gonna blow a lobe trying to understand this stuff. Associative R over Q. And Q for R. Okay, I get what they're doing there, but holy moly, this is gonna be so, just such a tiresome thing to deal with. Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad I'm getting this my honest, earnest reaction to this on recording. Again, it's not that I have a hard time understanding it. That's not the problem. It's that like at this point, I understand this crud. It's just understanding how I'm going to turn it into a visual, spatialized format is the nightmare problem. But where there's a will, there's a smith, I guess. Uh, I'm gonna need this. Where is it? This? I'll just flip it. Flip it good. There we go. You know, one feature that I would love is if I could do like how you can do in File Explorer. If I could like hold Control, right, and select this, and then select this, and then flip, like a multi-flip. That would be so dope. I don't know why this, or really, I mean, to be fair, I'm only really well versed with Paint 3D because it came on my, OS, and I like it enough to not go to what I assume is the inferior product because they discontinued, Microsoft being they in this instance, discontinued support for this one, the other Paint. Because of how Microsoft is, I just assume that regular Paint is inferior in every way that matters because Microsoft is not a great company. Not P implies P implies P. Okay. This is a refreshingly normal one so far. Um, I don't need that. I'll just copy this. I should be able to get one of those from, yeah, over there. I mean, I could have got this from over here too. Okay, whatever. I don't know how I ended up making. You know what? I'm going to be real here. This is something I should have done a while ago, and I need to snip that. Lower this. Beautiful. Okay. I snipped and got the U. Yeah, I did. I called it a U. It's not a U, but snipped and got the thing. There we go. Go ahead and just take one of these. I want to make sure I get all of it. I don't want to leave any shavings on the cutting room floor, yeah. P. And then not P implies P. Just shove that there. Get this over here. Alright, and then again, much to my amusement, I guess, this is just the same thing except everything is P or not. Everything is some kind of P. I think I can literally just, again, amusingly, I'm pretty sure I can just copy this wholesale. The Sam's Club of graphing. Okay, so that's, is it literally the same? P implies not P? Yeah, it is. Wow, I think I can actually just, as goofy as it is, just flip this in each instance. That's kind of the benefit of doing this stuff this way, I guess. P implies... Okay, so then it becomes not P implies P implies not P. Okay. Well, that's a bit of a weird one. Where did the not P come from in that then? Not P implies P implies P. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch that they're asking for that, but I guess I can understand how that works here. The dimp substitution goes into not P implies P implies not P implies not P. This is kind of the thing, is that they're asking you to do, again, like an audience participation thing here that stinks. Because if you look at this, like the place where that not P is coming from is the original assertion, I think. And then in the previous one, if you look at it, it's, Q implies not Q, and it's clear where you're getting the Q and the not Q from. It stinks because it's kind of like, I mean, it's still exactly what it says on the tin. It's just asking you to pull from the whole thing, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm misunderstanding something here, but it looks like it's asking to pull from 218 directly for that not P implies P. Yeah, because I mean, we can see right here, 205, you're replacing up here, right? What you're replacing in that dimp is Q with Q and then R with not Q, so that you get uh right right in this one. So normally this would be P implies Q, and then this would be P implies R. That's what that implication there is. Um, I think. I think I screwed that up actually. Yes, I did. Wow, I can't believe I screwed that up that bad. Oh, wait, no. No, no, no. I didn't screw that up. What I screwed up is that okay. I'm glad that I didn't screw up the graph, but I screwed up how I was thinking of it. Because this right here is left off of the graph. So whenever you look up here, how it's written in the book is P implies Q implies P implies not Q with a reference to star 205. This is what star 205 looks like in totality. So they truncated it. But the problem over here is that while this is direct, you can look at 205, you can look at the you can look at the first half of parentheses 1. And it's very easy to tell that, okay, you're using this antecedent, right? And reflecting how that affects the consequent. So what you're basically doing is putting in Q for Q and then not Q for R, so that you get P implies Q, P implies not Q for this. The problem with over here is, and I can tell what's going on, is that it's this. I'll just type it out on screen. And heck, I might even make it like a note or whatever, but this is what it actually looks like. Star 218. It looks like I have to get, I'll just do it in here. If that was caught on the microphone, that's funny. I had a weird digestion noise happen and it was really loud. I think I said on the mic. If I said on camera, you know what I meant. On recording. Not P implies P implies P. So you can understand like what's being looked at here. So this is not P implies P. So you've got not P implies P. And I messed it up. Crap. Hold on. Let me type that out again. Or rather, do this. So this is not P implies P, right? And that's what's in here. And then implies, so not P implies P, implying P. You get it? So the problem with that is what you're drawing from for what's up next, which is not P implies P. Well, okay, whatever. Not P. So I can just delete this, move this over. So as you can tell, you're kind of borrowing from upstream for that not P, I think. Because if it were the exact same thing, the P implies not P, right? If it were the exact same thing as here, then you'd be replacing Q with P and R with not P. But like, um, yeah, this is not P right here, you know? Like, this isn't even like from the duplication almost. I mean, I guess it is, maybe, but I mean, again, looking at 205, and I guess I should go ahead and copy and paste this. $212 literally is just P implies not P. But as you can see, not P implies P implies P. So almost what you're doing here is um, P implies not P. As a schema, like you're almost replacing this with this. Like you're hybridizing the thing itself with this to make not P goes into what, P and all this other stuff. I guess you could say that because it's not P implies P or something, that's somehow how that fits it. I'm basically trying to scramble to explain something that I understand again in KS but can't like put into English. Like I get where this is coming from, like where this not P came from, uh, to imply P down here, but it's so goofy that now, right, Q is P is not P, and R is not P. And I need to flip this before I forget to do that. Right? Like it's a bit of a head scratcher, bit of a mollywhopper. Like how did Q turn into P? How did P turn into not P? And how did R turn into not P? Like we can understand again from 216 how like not P turned into R, but why is P not P? I mean, I get it, sorta. But again, it's just like, it's just confusing. It's not great. Anyway, that's one. I'll leave that off to the side and I'll stack those on top of each other for references. P implies not P implies not P. Okay, well, that's not a difficult one. Do I have like a... I mean, I guess I do, but that wouldn't really fit. Yeah, that really is it, isn't it? It's just not P implies not P implies not P. Okay, well, I guess I'll just scalp this then. Yoink. Get rid of that. Take this out because that's not what belongs there. Stick that right there. Move this over. Move this a little over. Copy and paste. I did not want to do that. Copy and paste. Grab it this time. Thank you. Goodness. And this one is star 201, not P over P. Accidentally hit tab there. Okay. Well, that works. And like I said, I just still kind of feel like crap. I still feel like taking another couple of days off. Uh, but, I'll get this uploaded, figured out, rest my noggin for the next trial I'm going to have to put up with. Okay, here is actually the first. I forgot that this actually does have that notation crud that I was hoping almost to skip. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I'll go ahead and take care of it anyway. All right. Paste. We're going to be seeing the first use of the therefore symbol soon. How exciting. Aren't you excited? Wow. 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 It's excellent. Okay, and the reason why we're going to have to be using some therefore is because, okay, what we're looking at here is this. Yes. So that's why what we're about to do is going to be a little goofy. So, how to even put this? Because I guess I just have to put it as a conjunction. Yeah. Wow, okay. I think this might be the first legitimate use of a conjunction that isn't. Yeah, wow. I'm trying to think of any other time I've actually had to use a conjunction, like an overt conjunction. I don't think I've needed one. Yeah, wow. This is the first instance of a conjunction. Wow, I'm kind of like, I'm happy about that. It's just a very odd thing. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, wow. I get to use some exotic stuff. I'm very excited about that. Some very exotic stuff. Wow. I'm like nerding out. I love this. I love that I finally get to use like some at least for Principia. This is exotic. Like Principia doesn't use overt conjunctions. Like the conjunctions in Principia are a little bit different in the dot notation. So wow, this is like this is super cool. One and two. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of these like right now. That's not happening. And this. We're not using this either, pal. Oh no 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 no. Yowza. This is something else. This is really cool. I'm very happy about this. Wow. I don't know if that's the right like size, but whatever. Wow. This is cool. Well, I'm glad I solved that, I guess. But yeah, let's get this little fella out. Yes, sir. We're using the therefore symbol. Aw, yeah. Yowza. Okay, so not P implies P implies not P. So I can just scalp this, by the way, which is totally cool. I'm very happy about that. Just copy and paste that. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Giant fan. I'm not a fan of that. I need to move this down. That was a, that was bad. I need to move that down on the other one too. Yeah, I cut that way too close to the ceiling of that box. There we go. Now I can just nab this from over here. Pop this out. Oh yeah, wrong one. Wow, I'm stupid. Let me put that back. Uh oh, and yeah, obviously I can just get rid of this. Like, get rid of that. Okay, so the actual thing there is not P implies P. Yeah, well, I don't know how that happened, but that's dim. Anyway. Oh wow, are you serious? Okay. Well, alright. I can fix that. Stupid, but whatever. We got this. We good. We're all right. That doesn't have a. I guess it does actually. Not this one, but this one. Cut. That has sill at the front of it. I need to put that there, even if I don't like it. Uh, yeah, I don't think I need that extra box around it. I don't know why I bothered with that. That's a bit you know. Don't really need that if there's nothing to really attach to it, right? Just is what it is. And that's 3. Yeah, it looks like it. Excellent. Excellent. Ears getting itchy. Copy, paste. And then 4 is like humorously short, all things considered. It's just like 214, not P implies P. So where is it? Are you telling me I don't have the basic box? Whatever, I'll just cut it from here. Ah, my ear. Oh. Paste. Bring it all the way down here. Go ahead and scalp a not P. Wait, hold on. Not P implies P, yeah, so I guess I'm out of luck on that, but I could still just take this, I guess. Yeah, that doesn't really work. Never mind. It's the old switcheroo. Move this over just a tad. And then straighten this out, because it's just kind of goofy looking otherwise. Not P implies P, and that's it. I think that is it. Okay, excellent. Let me copy paste this, paste that, copy paste this. Alrighty, we're about done here for today. Because again, I know I've said it enough times, but it's worth repeating that I just kind of feel like crap. Just kind of feel like I've had enough vacation days, but not quite enough. And that's 214. Box that in. Tinyfy it a little bit. Box the whole shebang in after copy and pasting this. And then check my work immediately after, just to make sure I didn't flub anything, didn't mess anything up. And I'll have to add a special note on that. The therefore, the usage of therefore in here. Okay, so from the top, not P implies P implies P. 212, section 1. P, P implies not P implies dimp 205, which not P implies P implies not P implies not P. Okay, that's one. So not P implies P implies not P implies not P from P implies not P. Dimp. Okay, so 201 not P over P. Not P implies not P implies not P. That's 2. Number 3, still 1 and 2, therefore not P implies P implies not P. I should move that implication over before my brain gnaws at me like a rat on an elephant's butt cheeks. And then 214, not P implies P, and that's 4. Excellent. Okay. Let me put that in tinier text. Ugh. Ear. Ah. Holy crap. Okay. And I do actually have to use. Ah, my ear again. It's awful, I tell you. Every time that happens. Ugh. I'm telling you now, that is like one of the worst feelings on earth for me. Ah, my ear. I'm telling you, man. It is so bad when that happens. It's not even funny. It's like actually distressing. Okay, so why did that zoom all the way to the end? One. Yeah, okay. Dude, I'm telling you now. That is super bad. What the heck? Why does that keep happening? I might actually have to cut here if that happens again. My concentration is entirely thrown off by that like series of ear irritations. Like, and now I'm so distracted, I'm having trouble thinking. So, hold on. Okay, I think I should be recording again, and it deleted all of that other stuff. My ear's messing up again. A contextually metalogical usage of existing language to convey the convey an idea similar in relation to given 1 and 2. We can assert blank. Ah, there we go. Excellent. I need to go shove a Q-tip in my ear and swish it around until that stops happening. So if you'll excuse me, we're going to end this here. I believe, and I'm obliged to tell you to not put Q-tips in your ears. Don't sue me if you do. Anyway, this has been it for today. I feel like this has been a uh, relatively short one, but yeah, even so, like I said, I have there's at least one more notation hurdle, and then mixtures of this notation hurdling that's really curdling. So I might take another couple days to make one of these, but once I finally feel up to it, I'm going to just knock these out one after the other until I'm like going through 10 pages. Maybe not in a day, but like, you know, 10 pages a week at a minimum, which would be nice because, you know, well, let's think about that. 10 pages a week. That would mean that I'd get Principia done in about a year. I don't know. I think I could do better than that, but who knows? We'll see. It depends. At any rate, I'm done for now. Take easy. Thank you for watching. And, remember our mascot, this little bugger. See ya.